Live from Walk-On's Bistreaux and Bar, voted #1 sports bar in America. Here is your host, Andy Everett.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Frank Wilson Radio Show. UTSA is getting set to take on Kansas State this weekend, and it's coming up here in just a few days. We'll be headed to Manhattan, Kansas soon and have an opportunity to take on the Wildcats. Welcome to the show, Frank. How's practice been this week?
Practice been good. Guys are excited about another opportunity that's before us.
When you look at the film, and you do that all the time on Sundays, you always talk about the truth. What did the truth show you this week?
That we're a much improved team. The team that we were this past Saturday is a team that's better than the one the Saturday before. It also proves that we still have a long way to go. But pleased with the strides that we're making, not content, but pleased that we're headed in ascending in the right direction.
Yeah, and you got the running game going a little bit on Saturday against Baylor. That was good to see.
It was good to see B.J. Daniels. I thought he ran the ball well. Jalen Rhodes was in a couple of plays, and you've seen his burst and the things that he's able to do. Hopefully he's back in full stride and totally healthy this week. He was limited based on his health. But I thought our offensive line really came off the ball and created gaping holes to allow those backs to be able to run. And then the guys downfield did a good job blocking as well on the perimeter.
How about the crowd in the Alamo Dome on Saturday? That was fun to see.
How about that? Hey, some of them here. Let's give them a round of applause.
Absolutely.
For the crowd. Anytime you have a alumni base, a fan base, a city that corrals around your football team, around your program, it's something to be excited about. 42,000 people. It sounded like 60,000 in the Alamo Dome. They were excited. They were energetic. From the moment you walk through the Spirit Walking, you've seen the different canopies up with the Roadrunner head and the Birds Up signs. You got chills just walking as you felt the energy from the crowd. And from kickoff all the way till the very end, even at the very end, when we sung our alma mater and our fight song, just to have those fans still in the stands, proud, standing tall, supporting this football team is certainly gratifying.
Right after you guys leave the field, the band comes out, and when that first drum hits and the first horns go, you know you're at a college football game. It's really fun. It's
one of the unique things about college sports in comparison to the National Football League, that you have support groups, auxiliary groups that come out, and whether it's dance, it's cheer, it's band, it's collective. It's our entire university at one time all together. All of our various other sports and their recruits that are there, whether it's in the reception room recruiting or in the stands, it's a beautiful sight to see the UTSA family.
And I would think that when recruits come here, when families come here, and even if you're not a recruit yet, you're a kid in high school or in junior high, the experience that you get from something like Saturday resonates for a long time.
Yeah, a big-time college game experience. 42,000 people, TV stations all over the place, fans screaming and yelling, an intense competitive football game. It's everything that we desire for our program to be viewed as and our brand to be.
You mentioned the evolution of B.J. Daniels, and you always talk about running backs that are young got away with things in high school that they don't get away with in college, and they got to follow the blocks and do things technique-wise. Is he making that jump very well?
He's making that transition. It takes time. You know, we often say none of them get off the bus with an S on their chest. They're not Superman. They don't come ready-made. That we're charged with the responsibility of developing them. And so this isn't the National Football League. There is a nurturing process, and we provide that for our student athletes, for our athletes in their development as football players and as young men as well.
And he had to play a lot more snaps in the the tail end of the Arizona State game with Jalen's injury, and sometimes young players are not accustomed to that. He seems to be fitting in pretty well with that.
I thought he adapted well. It was good to see a young Brendan Brady get in the game as well, a true freshman. But both those young men went in and complemented each other very well and allowed us not to lack off production from that position group.
I looked out on the field on one play as you were getting lined up. I saw Greg Campbell and Josh Dunlop, and then 9 other guys that had never played college football until this year. That shows you the youth of this team, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're a youthful team, and as I said, experience is our best teacher. You look at the strides that we're making on the football field as a staff collectively. We starting 7 new coaches that wasn't with us a year ago, and 3 new coordinators in a new role who wasn't with us in that capacity a year ago. And so we're growing, and we're growing in the right direction, and we're competing. And I'm very pleased with the progress, not only our football team, but our football staff, as well as we continue to forge ahead.
Tell me about the progress of the offensive line from week 1 to week 2.
It's been tremendous. Week 1, you give up 9 sacks or negative loss plays. You come back this week, and that number is cut to 3. And ideally, you have none when you come out of the game on Saturday, with the intent of being able to solidify the line of scrimmage, to be able to make sound decisions from the quarterback position of when to get it out of your hand, to protect from a backfield standpoint. And so that offensive line that we have is one that's growing. It's growing. Hopefully we can get a young Spencer Burford back this week. He is a true freshman that started at left guard in week 1, and just like that, he was down in week 2. So he's making strides, and his health appears to be back in shape that will allow him to play again.
How about Jacob Grainer filling in for him?
Jacob Grainer, a walk-on offensive lineman for us, stepped in and did a solid job for us. We're glad that he's on our football team.
And Halen Stewart doesn't ever get the glory, but he makes some big-time plays, doesn't he?
You look at a 3rd and 1 situation, and he's isolated on the will linebacker and almost destroys the young man with a thump, a very violent block. The things that he brings to us with the ability to catch and block out of the backfield at the fullback position is almost a dinosaur in today's football, but certainly an addition to our football team.
So what's the next step? What do you want to see better at Kansas State and on into the rest of the games?
Start fast. 2 weeks in a row, 14-0, 10-0, opening drives, both respectively defense and offensively. We've had 2 drives in the respective games, and from an offensive standpoint, and on each one of those first drives, we've turned the ball over. We need to eliminate that. We cannot afford to dig holes for ourselves and try this comeback deal. We need to start fast and finish strong.
All right, it's the Frank Wilson Radio Show. We're out here at Walk-Ons. The Frank Wilson Radio Show is presented by Methodist Healthcare, the official hometown healthcare provider of UTSA Athletics and San Antonio's most preferred health system for all your healthcare needs. Go Roadrunners. We'll hear from Lorenzo Dantzler and Jared Sackett in the next 2 segments as we roll on from Walk-Ons. It's the Frank Wilson Show from Learfield. Back out here at Walk-Ons, it is the Frank Wilson Radio Show. Bud Light, official sponsor of UTSA Athletics, reminding you to enjoy responsibly. And Wendy's reminds you that they have fresh beef on every hamburger every day. Try it for yourself on a Dave's Double and taste the difference fresh beef makes. Fresh beef is available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada. Joining us right now in this segment is defensive end Lorenzo Dantzler. Welcome to the program.
It's nice to be here.
Tell us about, you made the big play the other day right before the end of the half. So walk us through what happened on that one and get the strip, and King Newton got the fumble recovery.
I came out the sideline. I knew we needed a big play. It was like a couple seconds left to go before the half. I knew we needed momentum going in the half, and Coach gave us the perfect defensive play call, and we executed.
Is it Takeaway Tuesdays? Is that your practice day? Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So you worked on that today?
Yes, sir. Coach really emphasizes stripping the ball away in practice so it could become a habit in the game.
All
right, and a big play, Frank, right before the end of the half to get you guys into the end zone.
It is. It's something that we are very conscientious about. Our goal on a day like today, when we go to our team meeting tomorrow, on a PowerPoint presentation, I will ask the question, it'll pop up, how many strip attempts did we get for the day? And our goal is always to be over 100. If we can get over 100 attempts at the ball, I think that's being disruptive, it's being conscientious, and it's going after it with a reason, a purpose and a reason. And so generally between interceptions, forced fumbles, or just strip attempts, our intent is deliberate to try to get the ball.
Lorenzo, talk about the defensive line and you guys as a group. It doesn't seem to matter who's out there. Something good's happening. You got some experience there. You're kind of new this year. Talk about kind of joining that group.
The group is fantastic. I think from interior and end standpoint, we got a lot of good ends. It's a lot of good competition every day. So I just try to come in and compete and get on the field.
And I would think you learn a lot from guys like Eric Banks that have been there before and others.
Yeah, Eric and J-Mac, they took me under the wing as soon as I came in. We put a lot of work in the spring. They taught me a lot of things that I didn't know. Coming from JUCO, you don't learn a lot of things. The coaches come from a lot of places. They've been in a lot of D1, so I just try to come in and be a sponge and soak everything up.
How much faster is the game from JUCO to now?
Oh, it's way faster. It's way faster. My first game actually playing Arizona State, the ball hit the hole way faster than the JUCO, so you have to be prepared on your technique and use technique way more.
Frank, what did you see in him when you recruited him, and what have you liked that you've seen since he's been here?
You know, even when he was in high school, we had a view of who he was, and at that time, he was going to go to Southern Miss or was being recruited at that time by Coach Golding as well during that time. And we continued to track him once he went to Northeast Junior College, and of course they played in the national championship a year ago, so we continued to pursue him and be diligent in our approach. And what you saw was a guy that had tremendous get-off, quickness, that was violent with his hands and had a special ability to be able to pursue a quarterback. And in this game, if you can apply pressure to the quarterback, whether it's creating a fumble, a sack, or even just being disruptive, is an addition to our football team. And so he gives us an added value with his ability to do those things as a pass rusher, but also can support the run extremely well.
Lorenzo, what made you want to come to UTSA?
I fell in love with San Antonio when I got off the plane. The coaches, they took me in. Everybody knew my name as soon as I showed up. So I just felt like family, and I felt like I fit right in here.
What are you doing in school?
Doing good, doing my work.
What do you want to be? What's your major? What are you studying?
My goal at the end of the day, if football doesn't work out, I want to be a college coach. So if football doesn't work out, I plan to be a graduate assistant at some university someday.
Here. Yeah, that'll work. You always got to keep it in the family, don't you, Frank?
That's right.
All right, tell me about Kansas State. What do you think about the Wildcats? Don't have to give away the secrets, just some general ideas.
They're doing a lot of things that we already seen before this season. We've been working on them. We have a game plan set, and we're ready to go.
What do you look at from a run game, from a pass game? What's your thoughts and differences when you're out there on the field to try to support both?
Win on first down. If we win on first down and second down, I think if we can get them at third down, long distance, we kind of get after the quarterback a little bit. I've been watching film on them, and a lot of teams got after the quarterback, so I feel like if we get them in a long distance situation, we can get after the quarterback.
All right. Lorenzo, thanks so much for being out here tonight. Continued success. We'll look forward to talking to you down the road, and let's go get a W on Saturday.
Let's go get it.
All right. That's Lorenzo Dantzler, defensive end for UTSA. Enchanted Rock Vodka and Rebecca Creek Whiskey are proud sponsors of the Roadrunner Sports Network. Raise your glass to the UTSA Roadrunners. Always drink responsibly. Coming up next, we'll hear from Jared Sackett, UTSA's kicker. It is the Frank Wilson Show from Walk-Ons and from Learfield. Whether you are moving, remodeling, or just cleaning out some space at home, Life Storage helps make it easy. Call 844-LIFE-STORE or go online to lifestorage.com. Life Storage, it's your life. Store it with care. We are at Walk-Ons, the #1 sports bar in America. Come on out here before, during, or after any of the games and enjoy their terrific food out here at Walk-Ons. Joining us now on the program is UTSA's kicker, Jared Sackett. Welcome to the program, Jared. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
He's Mr. Clutch, isn't he, Frank?
He has been. He's been Mr. Clutch.
Let's talk about your role here at UTSA. You came in last year as a freshman kicker, won the job. Take us through that process. What's it been like for you becoming a Roadrunner and having a chance to play as a freshman and now a sophomore?
You know, it's a surreal feeling being able to play as a true freshman. You know, the cards kind of just aligned, and I was able to take over and do what I do best.
What's it like for you when you know the team needs you and you got to deliver? Because kickers are one of those things that everybody loves you when you're doing great, and they run away from you when things aren't going so good. So take us through that process.
In my mind, I just want every kick to be the same. And when I go out on the field, I have that mindset, and no matter if I make or miss it, there's always the next one.
Do you have a routine? Is there anything that you think about, or kind of put a mental routine or a physical routine that you go through?
I just take my steps, take a deep breath, sometimes say a prayer, and just do the same thing every time.
Prayers are working.
Yes, sir.
Frank, talk about having this guy as a secret weapon for the Roadrunners.
It's interesting because in a practice format, he would compete a year ago with Victor Falcone, and then yet again this year with several other kickers. And I will always challenge him, and he just always responded. And, unlike, or maybe not, just maybe contrary to the popular belief, you can coach him, and you can coach him hard, and I do. I coach him very hard along with our special teams coordinator, Gary Hyman. And, when those kicks come up, we don't usually allow him to get surrounded and people slapping him in the head and all that. You got to make it. I just kind of call him over and say, do what you do, and we kind of boop, and he go away and kick it. Do what you do.
Jared, talk about having a new special teams coach this year with Gary Hyman. He seems to be happy 24/7.
Yes, sir. Coach Hyman's very enthusiastic. He loves his job, and it shows. I love the dedication that he's putting towards special teams, and we're improving, and I'm seeing it on the field.
Yeah, it's got to be fun to know that you talk about the competitive part, because Frank just says he challenges you. You want to be challenged. Good players and competitors want to be challenged, don't they?
Yes, and I feel like, if I lose that competition, whether in practice, I always have someone to push me, then I have no drive to get better. And last year, competing with Victor Falcone, that's when I made the biggest jump, being in confidence and playing on the field.
All right, we see you perform on Saturday. We see you out there early with the first group for warm-ups. But how much work goes into being a kicker, not only during the season, but every day of your life when you're in the off season, to know that you got to go out there? It's like shooting free throws, I would think.
It is. It should be automatic, and you do the same thing over and over, but it's a mechanical thing, and the littlest of movement, the littlest left or right can throw a kickoff.
All right, talk about Yanni holding for you, because that's a big part of it, and the deep snap and all that kind of stuff. All those things have to be perfect.
Yeah, it always has to be perfect, and I've definitely been blessed to have Yanni as my holder, and Grant is back there snapping this year, and it's a great feeling for it to be automatic, really. I never have to question the fact that the ball is going to be there and be able to kick it just like it's on a tee.
Frank, talk about that group, because they all have to work in unison together.
They're so dependent. It's the core when you talk about snap, hold, kick. And so much timing, so much chemistry that goes into that beyond what anyone could ever imagine. And their routine and how they go about doing their business is one that's very important for them to be comfortable with. And so whether it's the walk-off, whether it's his approach, whether it's the stroke, the follow-through, it's almost like a pendulum when he strokes it and swings it in that manner to go through the uprights consistently over and over and over again. And the thing about being a kicker is consistency. Mm-hmm. Everybody could kick a ball, but to consistently, meticulously, over and over and over, hit it the same spot again and again and again is something that requires extreme discipline and work ethic and concentration. And I think Jared does that exceptionally well.
When did you start kicking?
I started kicking about my freshman year. I played soccer my whole life, and then I just made the transition, fell in love with football and the atmosphere.
And I would assume soccer is this way too, but being around football players, being around a team, there's nothing like that, is there?
There's nothing like it, and that's the reason I chose to pursue football to play in college, and I didn't pursue soccer is because I really fell in love with the players around me. It's always a family.
What's your range?
Coach Wilson.
If the game's on the line, how close do we have to be?
If the game's on the line, I'd say we'd get to the 32-yard line.
That'd be 49 for the field goal?
Yes, sir.
You're comfortable with that, right, Frank?
I ask him. Before every game, I ask him, generally I don't ask him wood hash or any of those things. I just simply look at our chart sheet and see where he was most consistent. Because if you ask him, where do you feel more comfortable from? It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. They're going to all say that if you're worth the salt. It doesn't matter, Coach. I can kick it from anywhere. So I don't ever ask where are you most comfortable with. I look at his hit chart and see where he was most consistent from. And that becomes the ideal place for us to align the ball. Last week, would you tell me?
35.
52.
52, your free
He
goal.
told me I'm good for 52 last week. And so I was like, I don't know. and I asked him again. He said 52. I said, okay, 52 it is. And so it was 40 last week?
47.
48 and 47. So, I didn't even flinch because he told me he could hit 52, and I believe him. But the thing about Jared is, again, just destroying the stereotype. He's not a kicker that's a part of our team that's aloof and kind of stand over there by himself. He's, as the kids would say, or the players would say, he's a dude. Mm-hmm. So he's a real part of what we do. He does everything that we do. Just now I was asking him, I said, how your body feel? And he said, Tuesday we squatted. I said, it's good. That's why you're kicking it so well. And so he takes the same approach. He does everything the team does. He participates. The only thing he has not done yet is birdcage, right? Did I put you in?
Coach Wilson won't let me.
Yeah, so
I've been asking.
He really did. He asked to go, and I actually had him on the list to go, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. Don't want to risk that.
I didn't want him to hurt him.
Broke my heart.
And so he was like, "They're not going to hurt me," and I was like, "Just stay by me. You're good."
What are you doing in school, Jared? What do you want to be after football's over?
I'm in school to be a mechanical engineer at the moment.
You going to build buildings or design them?
Design. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with it yet. I'm kind of discovering that as I go along.
All right. Well, keep kicking field goals well, and congrats on all the success you've had so far. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
All right. That's Jared Sackett, UTSA kicker. Kickapoo Lucky Eagle Casino Hotel invites you to come out and play. Located in Eagle Pass, Texas, you're just a short drive away. Visit LuckyEagleTexas.com for more. We'll talk about the Kansas State Wildcats as the Frank Wilson Radio Show rolls on from Walk-Ons. It's presented by Methodist Healthcare, and it's from Learfield. All right, we are back out here at Walk-Ons for the Frank Wilson Radio Show, presented by Methodist Healthcare. Health Texas Medical Group is about your overall well-being, not just your health. Our commitment to you is outstanding care, every patient, every time. All right, Kansas State's the opponent coming up this weekend. And let's talk about them, Frank. They are a really good football team. What do you see from the Wildcats?
A team that relishes and thrives as their offense and defensive line respectively goes forward. They're probably the best offensive line unit that I've seen in quite some time. Certainly the best we've seen in my tenure here, but I'm talking about in a long time. Their offensive line is really good. From an offensive standpoint, they're a run-oriented team. They'll try to run the ball and push it down your throat, which has been the identity of Coach Snyder in his 27-plus years at K-State, and they do it very well. So they run the ball well. They do have two capable quarterbacks that they play routinely throughout the game, and both are runners and throwers. So the game plan doesn't necessarily change because of style of play and skill sets of those two quarterbacks. Two good receivers, one that'll go down the field and the other that will catch the ball in an intermediate, quick game standpoint. But they'll try to balance it up at times and keep you honest. From a defensive standpoint, I think they're pretty stout. The guys up front are the heart and soul of their football team with some talent in the back end as well.
Bill Snyder's been a legend there for the 26 or so years he's coached. I saw a stat the other day. He's won 65% of his games, and all the other coaches combined at Kansas State only won 35%. So he's been pretty good.
Yeah, that place works for him. He works for that place. I do think that he is a living legend in the sense of there's very few guys that can withstand the test of time, and when you can consistently compete at a high level for 25-plus years, it speaks volumes to your command, your culture, and the things that you've created in that stadium. It may be the first stadium I go to that's named after the coach that we're coaching against.
Yeah, I think it
it'll
will
be fun.
Yeah, he's been great there. He's done a lot of great things. All right, you mentioned their offense and their playmakers. What about their defense? How do they line up there?
They're a four-down team. They'll mix it up. Sometimes they'll have two backers in. Sometimes they'll have three. But their base is a 4-3 with an over and under look schematically. At times they'll jump in bare and go 3 down, but down in the goal line, they'll put 6 down, 6 defensive linemen in the game, and really try to test you. So we're going to try to do our best to run the ball effectively. I think it's important that we do that. But at the same time, we have to throw the ball. It's going to be imperative that we have success in the passing game to be able to go down the field and generate points.
Al Board just made a comment in the interviews I do with him on our pregame show. We want to pass the ball when we want to, not because we have to. That's pretty accurate, isn't it?
That's well put. That's well put. If you can stay ahead on first down, it keeps you out of what we call the recovery down. Recovery down is when you're playing 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, and it's hitting. Because people generally talk about first down or third down. But the second down is so important to the success of a drive, of a series, because it's going to dictate that third down situation. So on the quote-unquote recovery down, if you're not successful on first, you want to be able to get half of it. So now you're playing 3rd and 3 or less, 3rd and 4 or less, stuff that's attainable, opposed to playing 3rd and 13, 3rd and 10, etc.
And 2nd and 2 or 2nd and 3 gives you a whole lot of other options, doesn't it?
You playing 2nd and 3, you're playing winning football.
Yeah.
You're probably going to win the football game.
Yeah. If you get 3 or 4 yards on every play, you're going to get a first down every 3 plays.
And first downs resonate into touchdowns.
Yeah. And we're playing in a Big 12 stadium, another Big 12 opponent, a big-time atmosphere. I know the players enjoy it. It's fun to be around, and it goes back to that competitive thing. See what you're made of against some really good teams.
Yeah, I think when we get out of this gauntlet after this week and go into the normality of playing our conference, our in-state rivals, we should hit stride. Ideally, we're healthy and we're able to go forward with our season. But it's been fun. It's been challenging, yet very rewarding and gratifying for our football team to measure where we're at right now. You look at that Arizona State team that knock off a top 10 team, top 20 team in a Michigan State football team, and even after the game, I thought they had the chance to be very good, and it appears the way that they'll be pretty good as well.
Kansas State kind of struggled against South Dakota. They played a very good Mississippi State team. Do you take anything from that film that you say, okay, this is how we can go against them?
Yeah, certainly. Schematically, you see the things that's been successful against them and things that have not been, and you look at your personnel and the personality of your football team and your approach that would benefit you best. That question was posed to me early. What do you take from Mississippi State? What could you learn from that win? I said, their personnel. Give us Mississippi State players. We'll be all right. But Mississippi State have one of the best defensive line groups in the country with Jeffrey Simmons and those guys. And they blocked them well at times, but certainly they had their opportunities too. Reason why Mississippi State was successful in that game.
And I know I was talking to some of the players this week for our pregame show stuff. And all of them, they're like, we relish this opportunity. Yeah, we're an underdog, but that's okay. Underdogs sometimes win, and we can go in there and play a perfect game. We can get a W.
Yeah, and you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. Here's what we have to be able to do. We have to play well, and we have to be able to recover when we don't have a great play. And when we get knocked down, we have to get up off the mat and continue to compete. We don't, and I never say to them, with all due respect, Andy, that you have to play a perfect game,
right?
Because they won't play perfect.
Right.
There's no such thing, and so you can aim for that, but we don't have to play a perfect game. We have to play within ourselves. We have to play to the best of our ability, and if we do that, being UTSA is good enough. We don't need nobody else's personnel, nobody else's personality. We just need to be who we are to the best of our ability, and we'll have a chance to win this football game.
And you don't have to – you like players, which you have, that relish this chance, this competitive opportunity.
Yeah, our guys look forward to it. I mean, they're so eager. They're chopping at the bit. Not many of us have been to Manhattan, Kansas. Steve Henson, went to school there.
He did.
Yeah, so I told – I won't say what I told him it was.
Yeah.
But
Steve's for UTSA this week.
Oh, he's all in. He's all in with UTSA. I was just telling him about Manhattan, Kansas, and he didn't like what we said. So I'm going to take the high road.
I've been to Manhattan. I know what it's like. Yeah, it was good leaving. That's exactly what it was. All right. We'll talk more about UTSA and get you set for Kansas State coming up. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance members get 2 free tickets to Roadrunner football games when you show proof of membership at the ticket office. Visit TexasFarmBureau.org/sports to learn more. The Frank Wilson Radio Show, presented by Methodist Healthcare, rolls on from walk-ons from Learfield. All right, we're back out here at Walk-Ons for the Frank Wilson Radio Show this evening. Wendy's uses fresh beef on every hamburger every day. Try it for yourself on a Dave's Double and taste the difference fresh beef makes. Fresh beef is available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada. Wanted to ask you about the role of the coordinators with Jason Rollins and Al Borges. They're up in the booth this year. Pete was in the booth last year. Frank Selfo was on the sideline. How do you determine that? I've had a couple people ask me, what is that a coordinator's, will they like it or you like it, or how does that work?
Yeah, I have an idea, but they have a voice. And so I kind of ask them where they're best at to allow them to give the greatest input. Last year with Dalton Sturm and having the younger guys behind him, all we had was Bryce and Frank. And so had something happened, we would have had two true freshmen on the field who weren't ready. And so I wanted Frank down a year ago just to have impact and to be there to give them comfort and direction as we go along. I think with Cordell and DJ, we have a couple of guys that are a little older, a little more mature, that can handle the on-field part, and it allows us to have a very keen eye at the top that's able to lay out his game plan and make the notations he need to of what just happened on previous plays and adjust accordingly, where it's a little more difficult up top. There's no tables, there's no chairs down at the bottom. You don't have any of that. So you would think that is ideal, but it's not always. Some guys are better down. Al has been both up and down, but really is at his best when he's up top to be able to give view and feedback to myself and the other assistant coaches. Jason has always been up as a play caller when he was at McNeese State. His time here as a linebacker coach, he was down, but to give the overview and to see the play holistically, it's ideal for him to be up as well.
You see a little bit more from up top, don't you?
Yeah, you can see it all.
And how do you shuttle in plays? What's the trick there without, and I know there's decoys and all that, but what's the way that you try to do it? I think it happens quickly, too.
Yeah, let me see how I want to answer that.
Yeah, but I understand exactly what you're talking about. You don't want the other team to know. But my question is it happens in the blink of an eye. You're thinking 3 plays ahead sometimes, aren't you?
Yeah, well, you have to. So the play is called. That you have openers. So you have a menu or a list, if you will, of openers that in an ideal world, on the first play, second play, third play, this will be. Well, that doesn't always happen. You get off schedule, and you have to go to a third and short call, a second and long call, whatever it may be. And so you're already looking ahead. So the minute the play is stopped, dead at play, the thought process is already triggered to run the next play. And so it's called in by personnel and play immediately.
Right.
The coordinator has seconds to get that call downstairs, and that the people downstairs, personnel coach and everyone else have seconds to get it to the field.
Yeah, I think it's amazing how orchestrated it is to get 4 or 5 guys off the field and 4 or 5 guys in a matter of 5 seconds.
Yeah, you have to. Now, one of the things I think it's an alarming rate over within the first 2 weeks, it's been over 80% of college football teams. A new rule after their opening kicks or after a touchdown in the past, that was an opportunity for TV timeouts. Well, it doesn't happen that way anymore, so they treat it just like a regular play. So after a kick is made, as the teams go off, the 40-second clock starts while you're still on the sideline.
Yeah.
And so it happened to us. It happened to Baylor. It happened to Arizona State on the first play of the game, et cetera. So it's adjusting throughout the landscape of college football in their effort to speed up the game.
And I'm amazed, too. I don't know how thick the playbook is, but I know it gets thicker every week as you add more plays. And to be, I guess, I can memorize a roster chart, but you got thousands of options on these plays sometimes.
Yeah, you know what? You study the sheet. You study. It's no different than a job or being in school all over again.
Yeah,
you
it's
really
another
do.
Class, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that's why we have football school.
Yeah.
In the off season, but it's constantly try to advantage yourself in this chess game, if you will, as the game's going on.
Give us a progress report on Cordell Grundy as he continues to mature.
He's made leaps and bounds from week 1 to week 2. I think that he's coming into his own and getting a little more comfortable. I really believe to get through the duration of this season, We're going to need both those guys ready to go. We're going to try to get DJ in the game this week, not necessarily for a reason that Cordell did something wrong, but just so we can give him game plan experience as we prepare to go into a conference schedule that will be very rigorous.
And DJ's getting closer and closer to being up to speed after not being here for the spring.
And that's the thing with him. It's just a matter of time because he missed so much time not coming until summer session 2 right before fall camp.
All right, one more segment to go. We'll get some keys to victory against Kansas State. Methodist Healthcare is the official hometown healthcare provider of UTSA Athletics and San Antonio's most preferred health system for all your healthcare needs. Go Roadrunners. One more segment to go on the Frank Wilson Radio Show from Learfield. All right, it's 7:55. It is the Frank Wilson Radio Show as we get set for Kansas State. We're out of here on Friday, up to Manhattan, and get ready for the game on Saturday. Texas Farm Bureau insurance members get 2 free tickets to Roadrunner football games when you show proof of membership at the ticket office. Visit texasfarmbureau.org/sports to learn more. All right, let's talk about beating Kansas State. What are some of the keys coming up on Saturday?
I think it's critical that we start fast, that we come out the gates ready to play, get ourselves prepared to start fast, to play well. As the game goes on from a defensive standpoint, I think we have to be able to stop the run. It's where they make their hay at. It's what they do extremely well. We'll have to stop the run. Offensively, I think we have to generate explosive plays, take shots down the field to try to get behind those guys and put points on the board. I don't think it could be a low-scoring affair. We have to score.
You will not face competition the rest of the year after this that is as good as these 3 teams. This is really getting you ready for the rest of your schedule. You mentioned that earlier in the show, but that's I think to be emphasized.
I think so. I think that the old cliche, iron sharpen iron, is a real one, in that the opponents that we're facing right now will only have us better for the rigors of our conference.
And when you go against their defense, you want to run the football. You did that against Baylor. Getting that running game established and that time of possession battle won some keys too?
Well, I think so. Anytime you can put together a 12-play drive like we were able to, a 9-play, a 10-play drive, it bodes well for your team. It gives your defense an opportunity to catch its breath. This is yet again another team that will be no huddle, that'll tempo at times. And so we're going to want to give them relief and an opportunity to be prepared to put their cleats in the dirt and ready to go. I think it's important.
Have a good one, and look forward to the weekend.
Thank you so much. Birds up.
All right. Frank Wilson, the Frank Wilson Radio Show from out here at Walk-Ons. We'll be back out here again next Wednesday. UTSA and Kansas State, Saturday afternoon. Jay Riley, Pat Evans, and I get the Credit Human pregame show going at 1 o'clock. The kickoff is just after 3. I hope you'll be with us for the game. Have a fantastic night, everyone. We'll see you on Saturday for UTSA and Kansas State. This has been the Frank Wilson Radio Show from Walk-Ons and from Learfield.